All right, everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the podcast. Today I have Coach Peter Fusilero. Say that again. I butchered it. How do you pronounce it, Coach?
It's Fusilero. It's all good, brother.
Fusilero. Yes, Fusilero. That's what it is.
Yep, I've heard worse. I've heard
Yeah.
worse.
All
No,
right.
I'm glad
I
you said
had it. I got nervous. I folded. But
all good.
so Coach, I want to dive into a little bit about your background. I know you were a graduate assistant at UIC. Now you're a graduate assistant at Georgia. So
Yep.
obviously that's a big time jump in terms of schooling and things like that. So I definitely want to dive into that. I know you went to Kansas. I know a little bit about you, but not as much as I'd like to. But I think the number one thing that kind of attracted me to you was just like your work ethic, like kind of like the things you do, how you want to grow, how you want to be better, the different things like that, the personal development as well as the player development, because I'm into that as well.
Yeah.
Because I know again, your content, it's funny, it kind of was speaking to me because it's like, you kind of want to walk that walk. We're preaching to players how, you got to be, on top of your game. You got to be working hard, eating right, things like that. And, we got to be doing the same thing. And I'm a firm believer in that. So I kind of want to give you the floor to get this started. So just kind of dive in as far as you want to go. I know, like I said, you've been through a lot. You've done a lot. You've grinded it out, quote unquote, and I love that. So just kind of talk about that, and then we'll dive into some other things.
Yeah. So no, Andy. First and foremost, I appreciate you having me on. It's always an honor when I can, sit with another coach or a basketball mind and just talk hoops, man. So, we talked about it earlier today. I was really eager for this. So,
Yep.
thank you again. But yeah, so like Anthony said, my name's Peter Fusilero. From Mount Prospect, Illinois, about 30 minutes outside Chicago. Um, Went to a school called Prospect High School, played basketball all 4 years for a great coach, John Camardella. But during that time as well, I'm 5'11", little Filipino kid. Didn't think I'd be able to uh, play professional basketball, so I wanted to have somewhat of a backup plan. Obviously, basketball was my passion, and I wanted to be around it at some type of level. So I worked with this EYBL team called the Mac Urban Fire, and did all of their video. In high school, like my freshman year, I started kind of getting into like the media, just kind of have it in my back pocket and started getting better with it. And when I reached out to them, it was just local tournaments at first, just kind of going to their practices, just, promoting the program essentially. And, what started off as like little local NY to LA tournaments and local Chicago tournaments, kind of snowballed into traveling all over the country with them. Got to go to, Beach Jam in Augusta, Vegas, and a ton of other sessions across the country. So because of them, I always say it's the reason where I am today because of the network and relationships built. So kind of to piggyback off that, obviously being with the UIBL team, these guys are being heavily recruited. You're shoulder to shoulder with some of the best coaches in college basketball, and like literally me shoulder to shoulder with the video camera, on the baseline with whether it's Coach Calipari here and Coach K, or even up and coming coaches like Nate Oates, who's obviously at Alabama now, or Jeff Bowles, who's the head coach at Ohio. So met a lot of great people through that. And I met Jarence Howard through the Mac Urban Fire as the assistant coach at Kansas. Told me of the amazing opportunities, that Kansas had to offer. Obviously, a very historic program. Nothing was promised, but thankfully, I was able to get in the video department and kind of do what I was doing with the Mac Urban Fire as far as more so recruiting type videos. And that's what I was doing for Kansas essentially for the men's and women's basketball program. I was a practice player with the women's team as well. Learned a lot from Brandon Schneider, their assistant, and then obviously learning a little bit from the Kansas staff, but kind of from afar. What didn't take a manager role. Looking back on it, I wish I would, but I think the camera skill and that side of recruiting with the video camera was super important because I still use it to this day to help. I not only helped UIC with it a little bit, but also with Georgia now during this transition process. Um, And yeah, so Kansas was a great 4 years, but also during the off season, that's when I was starting to fall in love with player development. Whenever I went back home to Chicago, I would take the video camera and help document, other player development coaches in our area, such as Jeff Pagliacca. He's from the Chicagoland area, trains Evan Turner, Pat Bev, Frank Kaminsky, a number of NBA clientele, and just while I was filming it, I was learning. I'd be able to have all that footage and kind of use it for myself just to get a better understanding of the structure. Another great friend of mine and mentor, Stefan Martinez, out of St. Louis. I would go down there with him, and then I'd travel with him to some of his pre-draft locations and help out and help promote his brand. And I just wanted to be a sponge and kind of, because at the time, I was helping out, my high school team or helping out local kids in the area just to get my feet wet, just to kind of get my reps. And by working with them, I was starting to get a better understanding. And like I said, I'm a player first, always been around the game, use the camera to be around it and to be around the right circles. And that's kind of all come together to where I am today. So after Kansas, I guess to backtrack a little bit, how I got connected with UIC was Alex Bazell, who was a player development coach at the time for Pure Sweat. He was looking for guys just to help volunteer with him for pre-draft workouts. This is like Mo Bamba's entering the draft, Trae Young, Mo Wagner. And so myself, I think an Illinois manager, a buddy of mine named Trevor who played at Quincy came up, and I think a couple other guys. We were just helping just for free, just, anything we could to learn and help. So, after workouts, like, Alex Bazell and the players, they would leave the gym. They would have it at UIC for the most part. They would leave and go back to their hotels, and then me and the other kids would just kind of, what do we do now? So, but thankfully, UIC's assistant coach, D. Brown, obviously he famously played for that Illini team in 2005 that went to the Final Four and national championship. He was there for us and would literally just sit with us for hours in between workouts, just talking hoops, sharing knowledge. And I developed a great relationship with him. And even after that pre-draft, I would still go down to UIC all the time to help him with him, because he was still working out like he was a player. So I was helping him work out and then helping whatever pros he had in the gym at UIC. So just, trying to be a gym rat and put myself in those situations where I'm just constantly trying to learn and have a better understanding for the structure. Kept in touch with him. Like I said, during that winter break time, that, a few days I get to go home, was going to UIC games, their practices. And I know there was one day where I, talked with Coach McLean, who's the head coach, and said, hey, do you think there'd be a grad assistant position open, come, this summer? And he's like, yeah, definitely keep in touch. I'll let you know. So fast forward to May, I graduate on a Sunday in Kansas, and I'm in his office on Wednesday, in a shirt and tie. He's like, what are you wearing? I'm just like, we're here for the interview, coach. He's like, no interview. Like, I need you on court. Like, let's go. And so he's like, so I literally filled all my paperwork out that day, and it was a done deal. No, it was a great experience this past year, though. Learned a ton. Obviously, he's part of that Coach Crean tree. Great on the offensive end as far as, the X's and O's and how to scout, just the overall terminology, how to properly prepare. That was the biggest thing. And, we made it all the way to the Horizon League Championship, fell 8 points short to Northern Kentucky. But it was incredible, built long-lasting relationships with the players on our team. Obviously, like I said, D. Brown and I, that's probably one of the closest mentors I have to this day, next to my head coach. And so obviously Coach McLean unfortunately got let go after the season, third AD and I think, was it 2 years or something like that? So it was a tough situation. That's kind of the nature of the business. But, it kind of turned out great because he got hired, by Georgia, and he came with me, later after in the off season. It was like, hey, Pete, Coach Crean and I would love for you to come join us at the University of Georgia, where you want to go as far as getting to the NBA and trying to coach. I feel like this would be a great opportunity for you. Think it over, talk with your family. And I'm talking with them and some other close mentors that are in the league, it was kind of a no-brainer, and had to take advantage of the opportunity, and been here for a little bit over a month, and just trying to be a sponge, just trying to learn as much as possible. Seeing a lot of similarities that Coach McClain and Coach Green have, and but also seeing just the reason why Coach Green is a Hall of Fame coach. So it's been an incredible experience so far. A lot of recruiting type work we've been doing, a lot of film edits for our own guys, just doing anything we can to help them during this, COVID. But it's been great. Obviously got to be creative, but really thankful and really fortunate to be here in Athens.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that I definitely want to unpack there, because I think the number one thing, like, to me, is people have to understand the journey you take to get where you're at. You know what I mean? I talk to a lot of people, and I'm sure you do as well, and they kind of want to know how do you do this, how do you do that, and you could kind of give them advice, but when push comes to shove, like, everyone has their own race to run. Like, everyone gets to different places in different times and different situations. And for you, like, you could look at you and go, okay, you're a GA at Georgia. And to the naked eye, that's okay. He went to school, for 4 years, graduated, then he got a spot at Georgia. Like, that's not how it works, though. And that's one of the main things I like about, doing something like this, is this allows people to hear what you did. You did the video for an AAU team. You were doing stuff for free, which is something I want to touch on, because that's so important, man. Like, people don't get it. They really don't. Two things I really want to dive into, everything what you just said. First one, networking. That is everyone. You meet people for a reason, right? And any way, any situation, any reason, you may have to run into someone, it all happens for a reason. So, like, for me, I know I'm a big believer in that. I've had opportunities, through social media. I haven't even met some of these people. I'll give you an example real quick. Coach Kurt Miller, the head coach of the Connecticut Sun, we connected on Twitter, last year. He followed me or something like that, and I followed him back, and he sent me a DM, after following me for a little bit, and just said, hey, I really, really like, the stuff you put out. Like, keep up the great work, whatever. And it was like, oh, great. I appreciate that, coach. That means a lot, coming from you. And kind of fast forward, then a couple months, he contacted me again through Twitter and was like, hey, man, I don't know what it is, but, I'm a big fan of, what you do and the content you put out. Like, I know this may sound crazy, but would you ever be interested in, coming down to a game potentially? And at that time, I'm finishing up school, I'm graduating college, and I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, I'm going to be done with school by then. Like, let's do it. And so literally a week later, I'm driving to Connecticut, and that's, I live in Ohio, so that's about a 9 hour drive, but it was like, that wasn't a question. That was, you want me there, I'm there. So long story short, I end up going down there. I spend, a couple days with the team. I go to their practice, their shoot around. I go to a game. We go out to eat. I really just kind of, like you mentioned, just kind of take it all in. And what that story means is he knew me from social media. Like, he didn't know me. I've never met Coach Miller. Coach Miller now, I consider him, like you were mentioning, a mentor, a friend, someone that I really feel like I could lean on if I ever needed anything. But he didn't know me. He knew me based off my Twitter account. So, like, that goes to show, too, how you act on social media matters. Like, I could have went down there. I could have been a complete idiot. I could have been nothing like, people, I know people, they type, all this motivational, positive stuff, and then you meet them, and they're miserable. And you're like, man, you're nothing like your Twitter, or, you're nothing like your Instagram or whatever. And so, like, that connection was made through Twitter. And now I have a lifelong mentor through Twitter. So, like, that networking piece is huge. And I kind of want you to touch a little bit more on that, if you wouldn't mind. Like, what did you do? How did you go about it? What were some of the steps you take, to kind of not, I don't want to say go out of your way, because I feel like I mentioned earlier, everything happens for a reason. If you're meant to connect with people, I think you will. But how do you kind of make yourself more available, I guess, would be a better way to phrase it.
Yeah, I think kind of what you said, obviously, like how I connected with the Mac Irvin Fire was literally a Twitter DM to Mike Irvin, who is never on Twitter. The guy is never on Twitter, and I got lucky, and he responded. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and Mike will tell you, he's like, I'm never on Twitter. He'll be on Instagram maybe more so now, but he's not a big social media guy, and I kind of got lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, like yeah, Twitter. Like I mean, that's how we connected, right? Through
Yep.
Instagram and whatnot, and I think our content might speak for itself a little bit, and so it kind of adds some credibility. But yeah, sometimes it's literally just Twitter DMs, Instagram DMs, kind of getting to know somebody that way. But like when I was with Mac Irvin, you know, I'm sitting on the sideline and I hear Coach O. It's like, who's this guy? Who's number 4 for Mac Irvin? Like, because for the Mac Irvin Fire, obviously everyone knows Jalen Brunson, everybody knows Jaleel Okafor, everybody knows, Marcus Levette.
Mm-hmm.
But no one knew Pat McCaw, who obviously plays for the Raptors. Who's Pat McCaw? Like our 8th, 9th man at the time. Like, who would have thought? It's like, oh, that's Pat McCaw. He's from St. Louis, Missouri. So I'm like, with the camera, that's it. I'm saying it to him.
Yeah.
Oh, and then like, who's this guy? I'm like, oh, that's Lamont Walker. He's from Morgan Park. And it's like, so you're adding. I think a big thing with networking is adding value, right? And when you meet somebody, it's how can I add value to you at the end of the day? So by me saying this, now the other coaches are interested. Okay, like, all right, well, he knows the guys. Like, all right, he has somewhat of a basketball IQ, and let me give it here. Take my card, and that's how it might start at some point. I think, but sometimes it'd be like I'll just go up and straight introduce myself, like, hey, how you doing? My name is Peter Fusilero, videographer for the Mac Irvin Fire. If you need anything, that's how I do it. Or like when I started off with the video camera and helping these player development coaches, I would meet them at a game or some type of event. And I'd be like, hey, how you doing? Or, they'd come up to me and, conversate from there. And it's like, how can I offer a service to help your business? Right. That's what I think truly networking really is how can you help somebody? And sometimes it's for free, right? Sometimes it's just more so for the experience for itself. Like you driving the 8 hours all the way out to Connecticut, probably paying your own hotel money or whatever it is just to be out there. I know how it is. Cause when I was like searching for a GA spot, it was like, I drove all the way to SIU Carbondale, which is at the bottom of Illinois from like Kansas, and like spent the day. I knew like the director of ops, like spent the day there, and then watch practice or whatnot. We had lunch or late dinner or whatever it may be, and all right, now I gotta drive all the way back to Chicago from there. So and nothing was promised. It was just there so you could show face, kind of, just.
Yeah, and not to cut you off, but like just to add to that, like once you get that opportunity, whatever it may be, then that's like when it's big boy time. Like you gotta then, do you know your stuff? Do you know if because I mean, Coach Miller will be the first to admit we went to lunch. Every day I was there. We went to dinner. But 1 or 2 nights and. We'd be talking basketball, and he'd be asking me things, like, hey, like, what do you think about this or what do you think about that? Just kind of testing me a little bit and trying to figure out, like, is this kid the real deal? Like, does he know, does he really know basketball or is he just kind of, trying to learn or, how much does he know? And, again, I'll never claim to be, the genius of basketball, but I would like to, believe that I'm pretty confident that I know my stuff. I'm a student of the game. I love it. I spend a lot of time on it like yourself. So I like to believe that I'm confident. So when we're sitting around and we're talking about different sets or different, actions or player development stuff, like I'm telling you what I think. I'm not trying to impress you. Maybe we might disagree on something or maybe your view, you view it this way, I view it that way or, whatever. But when push comes to shove, I'm going to tell you my opinion because I believe in that. And like you said, that goes back to that adding value. Like how can I help you? Because then he was talking to me about player development things maybe that they could start incorporating with their team. Like if you get a group of, 3 guards in the gym, like kind of what's your go-to in terms of, ball screen stuff or, whatever decision-making stuff, maybe pass and relocate stuff, whatever it may be. Like he was asking me that and we were talking about that. We were having a good conversation about things like that. And that's where I think, again, you're getting tested. How much do you know? And can you help me? Because let's be honest, I mean, he's a head coach for the WNBA. At the time I was 23 years old. I'm 24 now, but I'm a kid.
Right.
Compared to him, I'm a young kid. And so he's thinking, can this young kid, help me in any way? And I think after those few days we spent together, I think he does believe that, I can, and that's why we stay in touch, to this day about, he'll text me one night and just say, like, when the WNBA Finals was going on, he would text me one night and be like, hey, I've been up all night watching film. What did you do today? How was your day? I got to get my mind off, this game. I got to kind of step away from it for a minute. And it's like, that's cool to me because that's a different level of relationship. You have that X's and O's basketball relationship, but the fact you could text me and go, hey, I've been watching film for 8 hours. I need a break. How was your day? How were your workouts? What did you do? Like different things like that. That's like next level. That's like you respect me beyond, basketball. You respect me as a person, which is ultimately what I want. You don't have to like me, but when push comes to shove, I want you to respect me. Yeah. And again, kind of circling back to what we were just talking about is just that value. Make sure that old fake it till you make it, that's not very real. Because I've been in some rooms with some people that they act like they know a lot, and you kind of start picking their brain, and then you're like, how much do you really know? You act like you know, but you really don't. That's not a bad thing. But don't act like then. Like be humble. If you don't know something, don't speak about it as much, or maybe ask. I don't understand this. How do I do that? And that's kind of what I respect about, coaches young, and I say young like they're younger than me, but like coaches around my age or whatever it is. Sometimes they'll DM me, on Twitter and, hey, what do you do in this situation? Or what would you do for this? And what would you do for that? And I'll give them my 2 cents, and I respect that because I'm the same way. You mentioned that idea of like introducing yourself. I've sent emails, I've sent DMs, I've sent everything to coaches. Just hey coach, maybe about this podcast. Hey coach, I'd love to get you on the podcast. If you wouldn't mind, or because what's the worst that could happen? They could either not answer, they could say, hey, I appreciate it, but I can't, or I'm not interested, or whatever. Or they could say, hey, yeah, I'd love to. And then you get them on the podcast like I have, previously. I mean, I've cold DM'd multiple people, and they've come on, and now I got their cell phone numbers. Now I'm texting them. So it's like that, not being afraid to kind of put yourself out there, I guess, would be kind of a roundabout way to put it.
No, absolutely. You hit it right on the head. It's like you said, the worst they can say is no. Right? Or the worst they can say is, nah, I'm okay, thank you though. Like, shoot, if you can swallow your pride, or swallow that, shoot.
Yeah, that's it. And something else you mentioned too is the free. I want to talk about the free because that's important. That's important. Now, I'll be honest. So number one, kind of staying on that same topic, but like backtracking a little bit. When it comes to player development, because obviously that's what I do, you touched on that you do that, and you did that a lot before, the video and things like that. I mean, I love it. People ask me all the time about coaching, and I'll never say never, because you never know. But when push comes to shove, I love player development. I love doing my own thing. I love working with players of all ages and skill levels. So you have to understand that when you're first starting out, you're going to be working with third grade boys, fourth grade girls, like you're going to be working out with kids that are young and, I don't want to sound ignorant, but not very good because they're young. Maybe they're just learning how to play the game. That's just kind of how it is, right? So then you're going to get in, if you're good, you got to be good, but then you're going to get into some situations where you might be able to get some players in the gym, maybe some college guys, maybe some high-level high school guys, whatever the case may be. And like I know, sometimes those kids can't pay, or sometimes they might be short on money. You're not going to make money. Like, I hate to be that guy, but that's part of the reason why. So, real quick, I was a walk-on, right? I was a walk-on at Robert Morris University, a Division I school in Pittsburgh, my freshman year. I kind of, long story short, kind of wrapping it up because I don't want to take up too much time about this. I'm sure people have heard it, but I started working out guys on the team. Guys, they would work out with me, and then it kind of turned into me working them out. So that's kind of what got me thinking, man, I really love doing this. I was watching film on them. I was doing everything while being a walk-on, while playing myself. Mm-hmm. And so I decided, what, I got to make the ultimate sacrifice, which to this day, still kind of makes me go, man, that was tough. I decided to stop playing and dedicate my entire time, to the player development side of things. So at that time, I'm still in college. So no college students have money, right? You're always broke when you're in college. So when I was working these kids out, and I was either, breaking even, being able to pay for gyms or, whatever the case may be, it didn't matter as much, because it was like you still, you live at home, you're going to school, you don't have bills really. So you're able to get away with that. Now that I'm out of school, I've built this, this brand, and I'm able to, kind of branch out and able to have some income now. But that's the number one thing that people have to understand is you're going to grind it out. And to this day, I'm not trying to act like, I'm making millions of dollars because I'm not. It's not even close. I'm doing it because I love it. Do I make money? Yeah, it's how I support myself. I'm a full-time trainer. I don't have another job. Basketball is my job. So kind of going back to that, I be honest, I still do workouts occasionally for free. There's guys that whether or not maybe they're friends of friends, or maybe they're one of my friends, or whatever the case may be. They might be short on money. The situations are endless. So sometimes you do some pro bono stuff, right? And that's why when you mentioned that you did some stuff for free, like volunteering, working and helping, Alex Basil, I'm familiar with him. That to me is huge, because if you're not willing to do that, you simply won't make it, doing the player development, the training. I'm not saying you have to do everybody and everything for free, but there is times, especially when you're starting out, you got to bite your tongue and you got to swallow your pride and do things for free, because that knowledge and that court time with that player or that trainer or that coach, that's more valuable than any money you can make at the time. So I kind of want you to expand on that, like what you did and kind of how you went about that in terms of, money and finances.
Yeah. So I guess on my end of I would just, whether it would be like I said, Jeff Pagliacca, Bazell, there's a number of player development coaches in the Chicagoland area that I would just hey, can I just come in, help rebound, just the payment that they were giving me was the knowledge, was them sending the notes after their plan, their player development plan prior to the workout, or the workout that week, or the workout that month. So now what did we do today, and now I have it, my own notes to and add to, or whatever it may be, and kind of make it my own. Mm-hmm. That was the value. That was what they were paying me, was the knowledge at the end of the day. And like I said, I'm sure you come from this, thankfully, 2-parent household. Yep. I was able to kind of just grind my way out on that. Working out high school kids, probably $5-10 at the, coming yep. up. But I mean, trying everything to show that I was credible, and that, I was doing everything I could in my power to help them, whether it was just making their varsity team, or have a pivotal role with their high school team or Division III college team. Like that I was trying to do. And that was more so when I was still at Kansas. I used to help Devontae Graham, Steve McKyle, Malik Newman just get shots up at night, just hey Pete, you want to come rebound for me? Yeah, let's go. And they would already have kind of a set routine that they would do. Obviously I'm not going to get paid for that. Yep. It's I love to be in the gym with those guys. It would be as late till midnight, 1 a.m. They hit me. My girlfriend's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm gonna go to the gym.
Yep.
I'm gonna go help." But they're my friends at the time too. So I wanted to help your friends, and obviously such a incredible program. It's you want to see these guys be successful at the end of the day, and it's relationships that surpass basketball now. Looking back at it, some of my great friends to this day. And then obviously at UIC this past year, obviously being in Chicago, you have a ton of pros coming into the gym, and I was thankful enough to work with Lene Harper. She played at Ohio State, played in EuroLeague, played with the Sky, and she was just looking for someone consistent. Obviously there's a ton of trainers, in Chicago, but she wanted someone that really studied the game, studied her film, give her something on the court where everything could really translate. And that's what we did. She was kind of my case study throughout the whole year. I said, I'm not going to charge you a penny, right? The only thing I ask is you show up on time and give me great effort, right? Let's take time to watch this film together. let's take time to make sure you're taking care of your body from a nutrition standpoint, make sure you're getting your strength and conditioning in. Like, we got to check off all the boxes, and it was almost a case study for myself as well, is how can I now have a full year to really develop her. She went overseas for a little bit, had a really tough time over there as far as like them paying her. So she came back to Chicago. So I had every morning 7 a.m. We'd work out at UIC, and I was starting to get a better feel for how she was developing, and it was almost like a pre-draft essentially, because you get those 3-4 months where you're just locking in with that athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I'm like nothing. Same, and then I had another guy that played at Northwestern, went overseas. Same thing. Their money was bad, and he would join Lene. So I had like two. Those are my two guards. Every morning we get after it, and it was a great experience, because I'm like, until I helped them earn a contract, they were developed on their own. So how do I help them, take it to that next level? And I know a lot of guys. I know that's what Alex Pizzell did with Bobby Portis. Like, he did, when Bobby Portis was looking for his second contract, Alex didn't charge him at all until he achieved that that milestone or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But like Jalen Brunson would come back. I'm not charging Jalen Brunson anything, like, because that's like my brother. I've known him since Mac Irvin. Like, Josh Cunning, like, guys want to come back and work out there from that Mac Irvin Fire team that are, that's family. Like, I'm gonna make sure they're taken care of. And like I said, money's tough. If guys are fighting for contracts, especially if they're overseas guys, it's a longevity thing. It's a relationship thing. You wanna, there comes a time and a place when, if I have a family and I'm doing this thing full time, it's like, all right. But at this time I'm with UIC. I'm getting a comfortable stipend. Like, I'm okay. Like, it's just extra free time I have, and I want to, put it towards, helping, these people and these athletes. So, yeah, it's tough. It's a gray area, because you want to. I found it like tough, because like some guys I'd work out and they wouldn't show up on time. They'd BS in the workout.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that happy medium of like, if I'm going to invest my time into you, like, please value what I'm giving you. Like, I'm not, Joe Schmo, and I'm just giving you BS. I've studied your film, right? I've created almost like a SWOT analysis for you, where to help maximize your strengths, sharpen one thing that I think you really need to key in on, for your upcoming role this season. Please treat my time with respect, because I'm going to give you everything I have at the end of the day. I'm going to give you all my energy, 7 a.m. in the morning. Like, let's have a great day. Let's get to it. And that's what I kind of learned was, sometimes when you do it for free, people might take advantage of that, and that can be tough to swallow. But the people that truly value you are the ones that you're going to be in with for the long haul. And in the long term, when they're making, a significant living off basketball and having a great career, they're, second, third contract guys, they're going to take care of you at the end of the day. And that's at the point where I'm now, is like that I'm having faith in that. Or I'm having faith that I want to help these people for the long term. I might not be getting anything now, but I want to help them, become not only great, second, third contract people, but great husbands, great fathers, that they can take care of their family at the end of the day.
Yeah, and see, like you mentioned, Alex not making Bobby Portis pay, and that made me think of, I was watching something about Drew Hanlon the one day, and he said that a lot of his NBA guys, he'll say, pay me what you think it's worth. And to me, that's like really powerful. You know what I mean? Like, because he's working with guys like Joel Embiid, Bradley Beal, established guys, right? Like superstars in the league, and he's telling them that. And obviously he does a hell of a job, and I have a ton of respect for him. But like, if he's doing that and those guys are, obviously taking care of him, like, that means a lot, because that goes to show that, like you mentioned, they appreciate him. Because that's one thing that I pride myself on. I know, I can tell you do as well, is we put a lot of time into this, into this game. If we I know if I work with a player individually, and that player is, they might be in high school, or, maybe they're in college, or maybe they have, aspirations of going to college, or going, potentially, overseas, or, whatever the case may be. I'm putting so much time and effort, into your individual development. I had one of my good childhood friends. He's an overseas pro over in England. and he's obviously been home, due to the virus. But we were in the gym, and they run this weird middle ball screen action. It's a very unique thing. It's definitely overseas thing, a European thing. But so he comes in the gym, and I got done watching Synergy, of that action literally for hours, on hours for like 3, 4, 5 days in a row before we even got in the gym. And we get in the gym, and I go, all right, and we start talking about what we're going to do. And he was like, how did you know that, like, we run this action? This is kind of weird action. How did you? And I'm like, man, I do my homework. Like, I've been watching film on you ever since you texted me on Monday and said, hey, let's get in the gym on Friday. I've been code red film study on you all week, because I want to make sure you get the most out of this work. I'm not putting cones down and we're not dribbling through them. And that's not to throw shade at anybody who does that. But I have a problem with that, because that makes guys like us that do, put in a lot of time and really want to, help and serve these players, that gives us a bad name. That's why I don't like when people say that I'm a trainer, or I'm, whatever. I'm a coach.
Yes.
I'm a player development coach. That's what I go as. If you say, oh, I'm with my trainer, oh, what do you do? I don't say, oh, I'm a basketball trainer. I say I'm a player development coach. And I was actually, I'm Phil Beckner. He's another guy that I would consider, a mentor of mine from the far. I haven't got a chance to meet him yet, but, I'm hoping to soon. But he's another guy. He always says that he tells people, I'm here to help players get better. Whether that's on the court, whether that's off the court, whether that's, as like you mentioned, a father, a husband, a brother, whatever it is, I'm here to help players get better, period. That's why I'm a player development coach, not a skills trainer, not a basketball trainer. That's not, obviously, first and foremost, we want to get you right on the court. But we also want to get good people, man. Like to me, the older I get to, the more I appreciate meeting good people, like-minded people. Like let's work hard. You want something, let's work to get it. Let's not complain. Let's not point fingers. Like, what do I have to do? Do I have to do that? Do I have to work, 12-hour days in the summertime? Let's do it. Do I got to be in a gym with no air condition? Let's do it. Right now, do I got to go to people's houses, or do I got to be outside? Let's do it. It's like that. Like, I respect that, and I love that about people, and that's why, like I mentioned, in the beginning with you, like, that attracted me to you, because I could just tell that you're that same way. You have that same energy. So, like, to me, kind of going back to, the initial point is, like, we put a lot of time into this. You're not paying for that hour workout when or that, that 2-hour workout, whatever. You're paying for the 10 hours throughout the week that we spent sitting in front of our computer and taking notes and writing down the workout and writing down the reps and things like that. You know what I mean? On top of the other players we work with, and then on top of our personal lives, like we got stuff we do too outside of basketball. I know that's hard to believe, but we do. So, like, to me, that's so important. And that's why that whenever that free gets thrown around, you're like, you have to do that. But then you touched on a good point, too. You have to make sure what you're doing is appreciated. And I'm happy you said that.
Yeah, no, I think it's big. It's so important, you have to do it. You have to work for free. But you also want to make sure, like, people aren't stepping all over you at the end of the day. And, you have no worth.
Mm-hmm.
No, you hit it right. You hit it right on the head. You're preaching.
No. Now let me ask you this, kind of staying on that same track. Then, what kind of got? I'm always interested to hear this. What kind of got you into the personal development side of things? Whether that's you getting in a workout on your own. You trying to eat right. You trying to kind of preach, like trying to be the best version of yourself. Like things like that. Because to me, that really kind of started for me when I was in high school. Like I was always kind of like, man, I'm working so hard, but then I'm going and I'm eating McDonald's, or, I'm not sleeping enough, or, whatever. So is that kind of canceling it out? That was kind of my thought process. So if I go and I run, 4 miles, and then my post-run meal is, Arby's, like, why did I just run? Why did I do that? Like, for me, when I was a player, my thing was always, I never wanted to get tired. And I know that sounds like kind of, like you're obviously going to get tired, but like when I worked out, I wanted to be, great. I wanted to be able to work out for as long as I wanted to. In a game, in the fourth quarter, I wasn't going to be tired. I wanted to make every free throw I had, late game. I wanted to have, fresh legs in the fourth, not dead legs. So like that was my motivation, and that's kind of why I would push myself. And now, I obviously don't play anymore. So it's like, how do I stay in shape? Because when I get in the gym with these players, it's just me. I'm still at the point, in my business where I don't have, guys helping me out, interns and people like that, because I'll be honest, number one, I'm a kind of a control freak. I need things my way, and if you can't help that, or you can't teach that, I don't really want you in the gym with me. I got a way of doing things, so I want to do it, and eventually I know I'm going to have to get over that, but for the time being, it is what it is. And then secondly, I don't want a camera crew in the gym all the time. Content is king, and that's something I'm trying to kind of do more of. But I just want to work, man. I just want to work. I want to be, the guy chasing rebounds, because that motivates me to stay in shape. I want to be setting ball screens. I want to be doing things like that. So what kind of, motivates you in terms of, staying in shape? Trying to get better at, as a coach, as a person, kind of every day, I guess would be a good way to put it.
It's exactly that. Like, I still feel like I'm a basketball player first at the end of the day, and I'm still trying to compete like I'm making the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, love that.
And you want to be able to be the best example for your players, and I really learned that from D Brown. Like, I was coming into UIC, like I was in decent shape, but I wasn't in the best shape I needed to be. And I really saw that. D Brown has a rod in his hip from like hip surgery, and that dude's still out competing anybody that steps in the gym. That's just how crazy he's wired. But like I said, I want to be able to demonstrate. I want to be able to, there's a lot of trainers that will say do this and do that, and then the player would be like, show me, and then they do it, and it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
How they're demonstrating it, right? It could be, a push out cross or a crossover jab, and the trainer just physically can't do it because maybe their body's out of shape, or they have poor mechanics because they can't play. And it's I didn't want to be that. Like, no offense to anybody of those guys, but like me personally, like I want to be able to stay sharp, right? I want to be able to, if I'm with a big, be able to fly off multiple ball screens with him. Say we're running some type of layered action where he's got to sprint up, set this step up. I hit him with a pocket pass. He finishes, then he's sprinting out to the corner. I'm hustling for his rebound, sprinting to him. Then we got another ball screen.
Yep.
And then, maybe I'm hitting on a hook, and he's coming right back into a DHO, and I'm flying back off it. Like, it's almost like to be the best I can be for like in the drill, because especially if you're a big and I'm a point guard, shoot, I'm got to be coming off these multiple actions, and that's what you want for these players, is you want them to come off multiple actions and be out of rhythm. And so for yourself, you got to be able to chase, like you said, chase down rebounds and fire in passes and compete. Especially for me, who wants to play in the league, like there's guys in the video room that are playing. Like the Spurs, like all their video guys will play just to like help keep guys that are maybe injured or like working their way back, like just to stay in shape. Obviously, when you're on the court doing player development, you get to have all that. So that's a big reason for me. But I just feel better. Like when you're eating well, when you're great, getting a great lift, when you're getting your morning work in, I just feel like I'm starting my day off, stay off right. Me, I try to have like daily disciplines, right? And so that's for me is my quiet time, my prayer, and then obviously my workout before I head into the office and I just kind of feel better. I feel like I've done what I'm supposed to do, and then anything after that, especially when it's July 20th and we can get on court with the guys, it's like, all right, I'm ready to roll. I've been preparing, my body, especially over quarantine, for this moment. Like once I knew I was coming to Georgia, it's like, all right, it's almost motivation for myself. Like I want to be in the best shape. So when these guys look at me and see me, it's not the fat trainer that, is going to put me through something. It's like, no, like if after we're done with this workout and we have a 3-minute run that they do for the combine, I'm going to run it with you so I can push. I'm not going to say go run. That's what leadership is. A boss is somebody that tells you what to do, but a leader is somebody that can, hold themselves accountable and stick with you all the way. So that's what really motivates me, because I want to be as sharp and best I can for these guys. And you know, you're a former player. That it's just that juice. It's just that competitive spirit in you.
Yep, yep, and that's it. Like I mean, you hit the nail on the head with the idea of like we're still players. You know, like I still work like I'm a player. You know, I get up shots. You know, I go to the gym, and if in between workouts or maybe if someone cancels or whatever, it's like, all right, cool. Like I'm not going to sit on my phone. I'm gonna work out. You know, I'm gonna get up some shots. I'm gonna get on the gun. You know, whatever it is, and it's like. Why? And because I love basketball. I know that you know everyone says that, and you know, oh yeah, I'm sure you do. I bet you know. It's like, you know, you don't understand. You know, like I think if quarantine taught me anything, it's that I really love basketball, and also it really is my life. You know,
Yeah.
and I say that as a good thing, but also kind of as a bad thing. You
Yeah.
know, like I'll be the first to admit my work-life balance isn't ideal because I want to work all the time. You
Yeah.
know, like if you're a player and you, like you mentioned, you hit me up and it's, you know, 10 o'clock at night and maybe I'm hanging out with some friends, or, you know, maybe I'm with a girl, you know, whatever it is. And it's like, I'm there. You know, like whatever it is, it's like, hey, yo, I gotta go. Like I'm sorry. And like there's a time and a place where you probably shouldn't do that. You know, you gotta be able to kind of unwind, and
Yeah.
but to me that's what kind of quarantine showed me is, okay, I gotta find, you know, maybe some other hobbies, or you know, maybe I gotta start, because they closed down gyms, so I couldn't even like lift. You know, so it was
Right.
like, man, I'm not sure, you know, what to do literally. And I think that's something that, you know, helped me with that. But, you know, kind of getting back to that idea of, you know, why we stay in shape is like you mentioned, I'm up, and this is something that I don't really recommend to players because you probably shouldn't do it. And actually, I just saw, you know, your recent podcast about kind of like sleeping and eating right and things like that. And I'll be honest, I mean, I'm up every day at 4:30. So I get up every day at 4:30, and I usually try to get to bed, you know, at a decent hour. So I'm trying to get to bed by like 8:30, 9:30. Some days it's later, you know, but I do try to get, you know, 6-7 hours of sleep. But that's just how I'm wired. You know, I'm wired that way. You know, my parents make fun of me all the time. My mom, she'll be like, "Why do you do that? Like, you don't have to do that." And I'm like, "No, but you don't understand. I do." You know,
Hmm.
like I do. I always think about like The Rock. He always talks about like his workout is like the anchor of his day. If I don't wake up and I don't get that workout in, if I don't get that cardio in, I don't get that lift in, my entire day is thrown off. You know, it just like something's not right. You know, I don't know what it is, and then I'm at a point where I might not be able to serve my players the right way. You know, maybe I'm in a bad mood, maybe I'm irritated because I didn't get that lift in. You know, and do I wake up every day like, oh yeah, I can't wait? No. I mean, I that Stairmaster, man, I got a love-hate relationship with that thing. It's like, man, I need you, but I don't really want you today. You know, it's one of those situations, but it's that discipline to get it done because, like you said, like I'm a big personal development guy, so I read different things about different leadership, you know, tactics and different ways to discipline, things like that. And like they always talk about, start your day with something hard. You know,
Yes.
start your day with something that maybe you don't want to do. And there's days that I wake up, the majority of the days I wake up and I'm excited. You know, I want to get in the gym and I want to lift. I want to, you know, get a cardio, get a good sweat in. But there are those days where it's like, man, I don't feel like doing this. But then it's like, I'm going to get on Twitter, you know, later, and I'm going to put out a tweet about working hard or, you know, whatever, staying disciplined. And I'm sleeping in because I didn't feel like doing it today. You know, so it's like my players hold me accountable. Like, it's funny because people will hit me up and say, hey, I didn't see, you know, on your story on, you know, your you didn't do it today. And I'm like, man, you know, I did it. I just didn't record it, you know, but it's funny because people are like, hold me to that, you know, that standard now. And I think that's kind of what motivates me and what keeps me going, because if I want to be the best version of myself and I want to help you get there, I have to walk the walk. You know, I got to talk the talk, but I got to walk the walk. And that's something I think is like really, really, really powerful as a coach and as a person, to be honest.
Absolutely. No, you hit it right. Yeah, you hit it right on the head. That it's you just like you said, you feel better. And the fact that you get up at 4:30, trust me, when I was going to UIC, because just for me to beat the traffic, I'd get up at 5,
Yep.
right? You know, get out the door by 5:30, and I got to get to the gym at 6. right? Just because if I leave at 5:45, I'm gonna be sitting in an hour and 15 in traffic.
Yep.
So that was also motivation for me. Was got the door, but I'm like, bro, I'm up. I've started my day before anybody else. I got a great workout coming. It's gonna be a great day. Like let's get to it. And now obviously being at Georgia, it's like, all right, well, I got a volleyball sand pit. I got an outdoor court because we can't use the gym yet because of COVID and whatnot. So it's like, all right, I got an outdoor sand pit. I got an outdoor court. I got a hill kind of by my house. I got this pool. It's like pick and pick. like,
Yep. I love it.
It's like pick. So it's nice because I've somewhat of an option, and then like the weight room is open at opportune times. So it's like, bro, you have no excuse. Like get to it, get after it, because people would kill for an outdoor court or to have some type of resource. So make the most of it. And like you said, you just feel like you just know you tackled off check one of the day, and you get your day moving.
Yeah, and that goes too with like the eating healthy, because that's something I'm always preaching to players too. I'm telling you guys, if you just start eating right, your game is gonna go to the next level. Like your game is gonna elevate if you just start. And I don't mean cut out everything you like and eat chicken and rice like a bodybuilder. I don't mean that, right? I mean just kind of maybe don't have ice cream every day, or maybe have maybe steak and some vegetables instead of steak and French fries, or whatever. Just like make small changes, because I'm like, number one, you're gonna feel better. Number two, you're gonna play better, and then number three, you're gonna look better. Because I don't care what anyone says, you want to look good. You want to feel good. You want to look good. You want to. That's just kind of how it is, right? And to me, that's what really took my game, I know personally, to the next level, was when I started, eating right and not eating, McDonald's and not eating all that junk. Because I'm like, you're gonna be in better shape. If you're in better shape, you're gonna have better legs. If you have better legs, you're gonna make more shots. Like it all goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
And again, though, if they see me rolling into the workout with a bag of Wendy's, they're gonna be like, "Hey, coach, what's up with that?" So again, maybe if I have a temptation, like, man, I really could go for some ice cream tonight, or some fast food. It's like, nah, like my players, they'd be disappointed. I can't do it. And like that's what I'm grateful for, because I think that's what a lot of people miss, is that accountability. Holding them accountable. And I have hundreds of players that I work with that hold me accountable, and they don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think that's really, really, really important.
No, absolutely. And I have a group chat with some buddies of mine, and it's almost like a competition. It's like, all right, fellas, I got my two in today. Where you at?
Yep.
And the same thing. Where you at, Pete? And so you kind of make it a competition within itself, and like you said, with the players. So
yep.
Absolutely. You're competing, and you kind of, like you said, when you look good, you feel good. It's like, our guys at UIC or Kansas, when they're flexing and they're feeling good. It's like, all right, because you did this, right? You keep doing that. There's your results. So you have to like kind of give them, here's the bigger purpose. That this is what you want at the end of the day. This is how you do it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, all right, this is where I want to get to. I'll lock in. I'll buy into that.
Yep. And that's why, like, I preach hard work. That's what I've gotten opportunities in my life, through basketball and through other things that have been strictly because of hard work. I was a Division I walk-on, and I've lied about my height so many times, I don't even know how tall I really am. I'm probably 5'5", 5'6", maybe. I don't even know. That's how much I've lied about it, because, I'm 5'8". I'm not 5'8", so, but I've gotten those opportunities because I've worked so hard. That's why I try to preach how important working hard is to these players, because I've seen it pay off firsthand. You may not, get that payoff right away, because we live in a microwave generation. Everyone wants everything right now. But over the course of time, you're going to get opportunities. And I want you to see me even to this day working hard, because I tell every player I work with, you can work as hard as you want, and I'm going to love it, but you're not going to outwork me. Straight up, right? I'm up. And that's why, like, people are always telling me, hey, coach, I'm going to get up, like you tomorrow. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. It's almost like do as I say, not as I do. I'm wired different. I don't recommend that, because you need sleep. You need all that. But just know that I'm up and I'm working. And I think that's really, really important, that leading by example. But something else I wanted to talk to you about, I know obviously right now, like you said, you can't get on court with the guys, but college player development. I went through it, as a player. So I know what it's like, and I think a lot of people have a false, reality of what it is. Whether that's in practice or individual, small group, whatever it is. Kind of what does a college, workout look like? Whether it was when you were at UIC or maybe even before then. Kind of walk through people and kind of talk about how it's really not as crazy as people may think it is in terms of the things you're doing and the things you may see on social media. Like, kind of talk about, what it looks like and how you structure it.
Yeah, it's everything in game, especially within our offense. What are the guys' roles? How do we maximize it? What are the shots they're going to get most of the time? It's like a kid on our team, Jamie, for UIC. He was our Australian JJ Redick, you could say. He was just our knockdown shooter.
Yep.
I'm never giving Jamie all this isolation, high middle ball screen, come off, attack the big and a flat. No. Jamie's job was to catch and shoot.
Yep.
Whether that was shaking up, drifting, jamming out to the corner, transition threes, right? Getaways from like the slot to the wing. And we just hammer home on that, right? Giving him something to add was a shot fake sidestep, right? Or maybe like a quick parallel to get into a shot, right? It was catering to what the player needed and what they were going to happen all the time. And it was simple. And the biggest thing I think with college guys is giving them a routine, right? Because it falls where guys really get better is outside of practice. Because the majority of times in practice, I don't know how it was for Robert Morris, but at least at UIC, like it's a ton of. I mean, we'll have like guards and bigs, and but it's more so stuff within our offense.
Yep.
Maybe like a 3-man ball screen type drill where guys are working, maybe hit you coming off, right, hit the shake, and then they're redriving it, hitting the drift for the guard on the other side. So it's still a team concept. But whereas they're getting like that individual skill development, it falls heavily. I think maybe, I don't know if you guys had any GAs, but it falls heavily on the GAs because of that 20-hour limit, right? So the guys, it's all voluntary work at the end of the day. So the guys that want to get shots in before practice, after practice, in between classes, I call it the breakfast club, coming in at 7 a.m. in the morning with me, right? Maybe it's later at night. That's when guys are getting better and you can lock in. And it's having a routine, especially in the season. Like Cody Toppert says, we're just watering the plants. We're just brushing our teeth. And, you're getting 150 makes, 200 makes of maybe it's spot shooting, right? Maybe it's, coming off a middle ball screen, getting to your floater, one dribble pull up. It's just solid. It's just the simple action that you're going to get in the game. Maybe we're repping, maybe getting some extra ball handling into passing. Because I think passing is one of the most underskilled parts of the game. Especially for guys with weak hands, being able to throw a left-hand hook pass or a left-hand drift pass, like that's tough. But when it comes to the off season, like that's when you can kind of, really have a plan for them. But it's simple. It's maximizing their role at the end of the day. And I think I don't have, like you said, there's not a ton of cones and we're doing all this catch the cone in the air finish or like some of this crazy stuff where it's like 4 or 5 different moves. Like I'll watch some stuff on Instagram. It's like, when is that guy ever going to do that? Yeah, like I'd like to see, like, show me the film. And I think a lot of guys in the quote unquote training businesses, they don't watch enough film. They don't see how simple the game really is. I saw a stat, or I heard a stat on somebody else's podcast, was like 80% of the shots in college basketball last year without, like, the makes were off 2 bounces or less. That's 80% of the shots. So majority is catch and shoot, catch and rip, right? There's going to be 1 or 2 guys that's really, making plays or coming off ball screen.
Yeah,
right?
and see, to me, like that's so important for players to understand. And that's why if I ever have a kid in the gym, whether that's a high school kid, college kid, a pro kid, I'll tell people, come watch. Because I'll be the first to admit, I don't do a good enough job with video stuff because – I mean, I'll be honest. I have no need to do it. If you want to see a workout of mine, come to the gym. My workout's open to anybody. But if not, you're probably. Occasionally I may hire someone to come in and get some content, get some footage. But that's very rare. You know, like
Yeah.
you're not going to see much film of my workouts because it's boring. Like, do you want to see film or content and video and cool little edits of jab steps and like 1 dribble pull-ups and 2 dribble pull-ups and floaters? Like, do you want to see that? Like, no. If I posted a video of that on Instagram, I'm getting 200 views and 50 likes. You know what I mean? I'm not getting, and that's fine. You know, I'm just saying that when people reach out to me and they ask me, what it's like, I like, for example, I work with the second all-time leading scorer in the state of Ohio. He's going to West Liberty. He's probably one of the best shooters, the state has ever seen. I mean, the kid could stroke it. And we've been working together for, roughly 4 years now. So you talking about earlier about like that case study with that, with that WNBA player. And to me, that's kind of him, That was like my test balloon. That was, let me see how good I am at this. Let me see if I could really help develop a player. And, 3,000 some points later, he's behind John Diebler, in the state of Ohio. But his game was, like you said, he was a shooter. He's going to catch it, and he needed to learn how to put it on the floor 1 or 2 times. He needed a floater. He needed things like that. He didn't need, like a high ball screen every possession. He didn't need, a 9 dribble ISO move. He just didn't need it. And that's not to knock anyone, but I just wish that more people would understand what really takes place during these workouts. It's not what it's cracked up to be. And even the guys that do a great job that have video, they're showing you the highlights of that workout. So they're going to show you that cool, ball screen read, but they're not going to show you the 300 spot jumpers or the 50 pin downs or the 50 flare screens or the 50 come off a ball screen and just shoot it. They're not going to show you that because that's not attractive. And that's why I wanted you just to kind of mention what really goes on, because I tell kids all the time, guys, we literally would do jump stop finishes in like our pre-practice. We would do same hand same foot layup. We would do come off a ball screen and just shoot it. We don't have to snake it. We don't have to. I saw a tweet the other day about all these high school guys learning how to snake a ball screen, and they never do it in a game. When have you ever been to a high school game? And I'm not saying never, but when have you ever been to a high school game where they play drop coverage and that guard is able to snake the screen? Hardly ever.
They don't.
Yeah, because high school teams don't even, I'll be honest, a lot of high schools probably don't even know, what a drop coverage is. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not to hate or throw shade. That's just the fact. That's a fact. What they're going to do is they're probably going to just switch it. Oh, ball screen, switch.
Or
now,
they'll hard hedge it a little bit and then he'll get back.
Exactly. They're very rarely going to ice it or, play drop. And that's why when I see high school kids, doing that, or even better, when you see young kids like 7th graders, why are we doing that? Like that kid needs to be able to learn how to jump stop and shot fake and then lay it in. That's why I love getting other people on though that'll kind of back that. And so people aren't like, oh, you're just saying that. That's really how it is. You know what I mean? It's very simple and it's not very fun. It's very boring. But if you want to be a good player, that's what you have to do.
And I guess to add on it, it's not what you like. Obviously, the concept, it might be quote unquote boring or it might be quote unquote simple. So it's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's the pace you do it at. It's how efficient you are with it, right? So like for me, it's like, you'll have block training or you'll have, scripted training where you're telling them what to do, right? But how do you add decision making in there? So it's a simple read or it's a simple concept, right? But how can you add a level of decision making? So if say it's just you and me working out and I'm the big, right, and you're the point guard, right? I set a high middle ball screen for you or a step up. Read me. If I call dive, what kind of pass is that going to be, right? Pocket pass. If I pop, I'm calling pop, you got to the hook. So now you're adding a decision-making element to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And, obviously if you can add more bodies, you can even go deeper into that decision-making concept. That's just like a simple thing. If we're doing some type of shooting drill, we got to make 5 out of 7. We got to make 5 in a row. We got to make 2 in a row to get out. right? So now it's a simple concept, or it's the simple part of the game, but you're challenging their competitive instinct, and that's when I think you can bring guys, competitive fire out of them.
Yeah,
That's
it's there's a lot of details in the simple.
yes.
Like there's a lot of details in the simple, and like you were mentioned, adding those reads and something. John Giesbrecht, he's a guy I had on. He's a player development coach over in Canada, and he mentioned the idea of adding like complexity, like making it more complex. Adding that extra layer, like you said, that read or that. So that might be. I'm happy you said that because that's a good point. That might be a simple, idea or a concept, but there's a lot of detail that goes into it. Like I was gonna tweet something the other day about I was in the gym with a seventh grader, and we spent probably I'd say maybe 35 minutes on one dribble pull-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to say, does that make me a bad coach that I spent that much time, on that? It depends who you ask. It depends what do you think? Because, that's a waste. Why'd you spend that much time on it? Like, it should be just dribble one time and shoot it. No, but how are we stepping? Are we going 1-2 inside foot? Make sure that ball hits the floor at the right time. Things like that. That all plays into it. Is the pickup smooth? Are you fumbling the ball? Like that all plays a part, and it's a basic idea, but there's a lot of details that go into it. And to me, that's just kind of what separates the good ones from the bad ones. There's no really better way to put it.
Exactly. And like you hit it on the head, like as far as like coming into the paint, right, and jump stopping, a lot of guys will come downhill and they'll leave their feet, and in good college programs, that's a charge.
Yep.
Right? So being able to come down, either jump stop on 2 or like that Villanova stride step where you're playing off that, like kind of like that Rondo 1-2. Mm-hmm. And now I have an option, so I can, if someone's filling behind me, I can play back, or now I got cutters. And something as simple as that, the type of finishing, like we're getting downhill, like you said, same hand, same foot. Maybe it's the inside finish. Maybe it's a 1-2. I'm getting into the fender and I'm extending away, right? Maybe it's a reverse. So like, it's like you said, the simple, but it's adding all the extra details. And what I wanted to add as well is, like I talked about it before, the layered actions, right? Is those the simple concepts, right? I might have a player come down off a high middle ball screen, right? Shift the big who's in a flat, finish, right? Or just play it. Like if I come off the flat, here's me, I'm playing the flat, attack me, right? Crossover jab, in and out. However you want to finish, be a basketball player, finish. Right, that's kind of like the reading it and really playing it, right? All right, now you got to jam out to the corner, sprint out to the corner, read my closeout, right? If I hit you and I don't even close out, shot. If I'm flying at you and I leave my feet, it's probably a shot fake sidestep. So you're reading a closeout essentially. Now I'm telling you, all right, shot goes up. Now we're going right into a DHO, right? I might say he went under. If he went under, automatic rescreen. If I say over the top, right? You're taking that DHO, right? He's on your hip and you're flying off into a floater, pull up, whatever it may be. And the last one, sprint, touch half court, trail 3, shot. So you got 4 different shots, 4 different reads, all in one series. You're getting them in shape, right? Because you're getting those competitive juices full. All right, you got to make. If I'm only going to let you do this drill, 4 times. We got to get 10. We got to make 9. You got to get a total of 9 makes within this drill.
Yep.
Right. So when you're putting a number to it, when you're adding that level of decision making, when you're adding that change in rhythm, that's when the simple, like you said, becomes complex and becomes even more detailed. Right. Hey, and once you got 9, prove it. Knock these 2 free throws down. Yep. You don't, then you have some type of consequences. So it's adding those competitive elements to the simple that I think takes the workout to another level, and I think gets guys to buy in, and that's what they like, and I think that's how the NBA does it a lot. And I stole this from Cody Toppert, who's obviously with Memphis now, was originally with the Phoenix Suns, Nick Friedman. That's the philosophy that I personally steal from and will implement with our own guys, because, like you said, it takes that simple, what happens all the time, and it takes it to another level without it being gimmicky with all of the crazy stuff. I feel like that's the most efficient workout in my opinion.
Yeah, and you said that, and I'm the same way. I like that layer approach. I've been big on that because to me that also isn't, it kind of breaks the repetition too, like, because that could become, very repetitive. Unfortunately, basketball is all about repetition, like, unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to put it, because I understand that could get boring. Like, I'm not saying that, you have to be super happy every day, to come in and shoot, 200 one-dribble pull-ups. That there's going to be days where you're feeling it, days where you're not. But if you can break that, if you can, like you mentioned, that layered approach, that one-dribble pull-up, but then sprint opposite corner for a catch and shoot, and then you got a dribble, like you said, a DHO, and then you got this, that kind of breaks that. Oh, I don't want to just stand at the same spot and shoot, 20 shots. I want to break it up, and that's like I said, I think that's kind of where you go from A to B and where you could really take your game, to the next level as far as decision making, complexity, all things like that. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. I got one more question for you. So something I always like to end with.
For sure.
So something just to kind of get you to think a little bit. So what's one non-negotiable thing that you do every day? And not basketball. Obviously, basketball is what we do, what we love, but kind of something away from that. You're big into the personal development, working out, things like that. So just kind of something you have to do. It could be like a habit, a routine maybe, something big, something small, just something you have to make sure you do every day, before your head hits the pillow every night.
My faith. It's a big thing for me. I unfortunately went through a really tough time my senior year at Kansas. I was just in a dark space, and throughout my year at Kansas, I wasn't really close. I was grew up in the Catholic Church, but never felt like how does God's word connect with my own life? And it wasn't until I got a hold of Inky Johnson, who's an incredible motivational speaker. Who's also kind of a Christian background, and then a guy by the name of Pastor Michael Todd from Transformation Church. Those guys really helped me get out of my dark space and give me an overall greater perspective on things. And so every day, during my workout, I kind of stopped listening to music can almost become repetitive too. And it's I'm tired of listening to the same songs over and over. How can I fuel my brain? Obviously, I turned to podcasts like yours. I loved your podcast with Coach Chambers. Shout out them. But Transformation Church obviously has a podcast, and they're also on YouTube. And I'll just listen to that just to kind of get my word of the day, and just kind of I feel like I get my day started off right, and it kind of helps me with my workout. He's Pastor Todd is full of energy. He's a black pastor, but it's a multi-ethnic church, and he just kind of gets you going and fills you, with the word of God, and kind of just gets your mind right. And I've been trying to really, especially during this time while I'm here, I'm just by myself, here in Athens. Thankfully I have family all the way in Atlanta, but obviously in Athens I'm by myself. My girlfriend isn't here with me. My mom and dad are all the way in Chicago, so I got to find my way to stay disciplined in terms of my faith and whatnot. And every day in the office, that 10-minute drive, I have my quiet time. I have my things that I express gratitude to the man upstairs. And, a big part of my prayer is how can I help? Obviously I pray for the people that are in need, but it's God, how can you use me to help somebody else? You've blessed me in unsurmountable ways. You took me as somebody who was a videographer, somebody who was okay at hoops, in high school, and I'm here with my office next to Coach Crean's, at the University of Georgia. You couldn't have if you were to look at me at my senior year at Kansas when I was going through that dark time, it's no way. I would have said you're lying. No way. And so I have to do that every single day. I have to express gratitude, and I have to say, how can I be a blessing to somebody else? Because God, you blessed me immensely. How can I help somebody else? Whether it's my family, whether it's somebody like you that I consider a friend, or the stranger or homeless man on the street. What can I do to better impact their life? And it's helped me incredibly. Like I said, as far as my perspective, and I encourage everyone to dive into their faith or dive into something that really gives them a positive outlook on life. and how they can help others and give back and pay it forward. So that's my non-negotiable. And then I
Yeah.
also it's a funny thing, but I have to have my smoothie. Like I can't eat eggs. Like I said, like I can't eat eggs. I can't eat eggs and sausage anymore. Like I have my spinach, my berries, my frozen banana, my protein powder. And I just feel better with the smoothie in me. I know I got good nutrients and I'm ready to go. So my faith and my smoothie. Those are my non-negotiables for the day.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, hey, Coach, I appreciate you, hopping on here. I'm really, really happy we were able to connect. I'm looking forward to staying connected with you,
Yeah,
for sure.
please.
If you wouldn't mind, kind of tell people where to find you on social media. Like I was touching on, you're a really good follow. So definitely, everyone should go give, Coach a follow and kind of catch up with him and see what he got going on. I'm really excited to see kind of what you do and kind of watch your journey grow and develop. So kind of throw those ads out there so people know where to find you.
Yeah. So obviously my name is super hard, Fusilero. It's a mouthful. So when I was doing videos with Mac Irvin, I'm like, Mac Irvin, the fire, Fusilero, fuse. So like light the fuse. So that was kind of like my thing coming up in high school. So my at name is at lit fuse, LITFUSE with the underscore at the end. That's been my account since I was like 15 years old, and it's kind of stuck. People call me Fuse. People call me Pete. You know, that's kind of what I go by. So yeah, Twitter, Instagram, on Facebook as well. Just my first and last name. On YouTube, I have an account. If you just type in like Lit Fuse Productions or my first and last name, you can find me on there. But yeah, always happy to reach out and talk hoop and just share whatever I can. But like Anthony, I'm somebody still learning, still have so much to learn, um, and just thankful to be here and thankful to help anybody I can. So, Ann, thanks again for having me on. This was awesome. Appreciate you letting me kind of speak my 2 cents on some things. But I learned a lot from you as well, and just in your journey too. So I'm looking forward to staying in touch, more FaceTimes,
Yep.
talking more player development stuff. So.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
Coach. I appreciate you. Definitely stay in touch.
Yep. Perfect, bro. We'll talk soon, okay?
Absolutely.
All good? Okay. You hear me okay? Oh, is it off?
No, can you hear me? Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
good. All right, yeah, we're all good. Hey,